I'm still not entirely sure. I have no notes. So I'm trusting that my inner guidance will, get me, will just move with what I'm supposed to share here today. Happy pre-birthday. Yes, tomorrow I'm turning 6 decades. Today's my ex-husband's birthday. That was always a fun thing. His birthday was always the day before mine. The father of my two children. We have a great relationship now. um, yeah, thank you, Rachel. Girl, how are you? So good to see everybody. Look at y'all. Ah, yes, 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 yes. Giving eternal youth vibes. Well, I hope so. I plan to be eternally youthful and I plan to live to 106. Just so y'all know, I'll be around for a very long time. But yeah, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to say today, but I have a couple ideas of what popped in. And I'm sorry if you're hearing all kinds of noises. I'm fiddling with my microphone here. I'm trying to get it out of my face. But life has been while the YouTube people, if anybody's on YouTube coming in, I'll share that. Yeah, welcome to the 60s, eh? Yeah. I am 60 years old tomorrow. That's unbelievable to me. It still like wrecks my mind that I have a 30-year-old son. It's like, what? I feel 30. Like, I don't have a 30-year-old son. But yeah, I've been on planet Earth for 6 decades as of tomorrow, August 4th. Thank you for the birthday greetings. So I'll summarize kind of what's been happening in my life in the last 5 months, because last time I did a live stream was when we were doing all those live streams in February, and then it started to taper off. And by the end of March, I'm like, I'm done with live streams. And then I went into, hey, I've missed you all too. I've missed you all too. Although I have actually been doing private sessions, but I just haven't announced it. Whoever came through, came through. And I did schedule those private sessions. And I think, Ellie, you're one of the ones that I completely overlooked now that I'm seeing your name here. But I'd be happy to do a one-on-one with you. The theme of my life in the last 5 months has just been really interesting. I will say that it was mostly inner expansion, inner work, inner. Oh, I went in. Oh, I went so deep into my own spiritual experience that I forgot the rest of the world existed. I did have a dance with a guy, which may or may not tie into what I'm going to share with you all today, because there is some themes from that experience that from connecting with a guy, I want to say romantically, although the way that it played out was just, I don't know. I learned a lot from it and it was profoundly eye-opening for me. Anybody you connect with ends up being a reflection, you know? Um, that was a 2-month dance. Okay. It's not happening anymore. I may talk about that at the very end. Because for those of you who are dating, wanting to be in a relationship with a man, woman, whatever, what I experienced may be beneficial to share for you, because it was profound for me, and maybe helpful. But what really, okay, so summary of where I've been in the last few months in terms of exploring life, because that's all we're here doing, right? Is just exploring life. And so where I've been in exploring life is just dancing with whatever arises, And a few of those themes were, I got all into AI, y'all. I know some people have a perception of AI that comes with a lot of fear. I have excitement around AI and I dove into it. Like, I went all in when it called me. I am like, I love AI. I love it. Okay. So that was one of the themes of where I was playing. The playgrounds that I've been on, I should probably say that. The playgrounds that I've been on. AI is one of them. Took a 4-week course and all with a spiritual focus, by the way. So, and that's still a thing that's interesting and exciting, and I'm exploring that world in a really cool way. Deep dived into Bitcoin. So that was another, because y'all know that trading is a hobby of mine. So Bitcoin was I'm late on the Bitcoin bandwagon, but I deep dive into that. And so that was a playground of exploration as well. What was the other thing? Heart brain coherence, but I'm going to talk about that in a second because that yeah, well, that'll unravel as I start talking, but that's another world that I dove into. Danced with a guy for 2 months in a relationship, what you would call a relationship, I guess, but I'll it's sort of follows the whole heart brain coherence experience experiment. I would call it an experiment. So what I'll share with you today is the heart brain coherence experiment that I chose to go into, and or it called me, I should say. It called me, and I went. And what all happened in my life as a result of that? Because I think that that's what bubbled up as what wanted to be shared the most. And as I said, I didn't prepare any of this. So I'm sort of coming from me too, Rachel, with what? AI? Is it AI or which one of my themes are you agreeing with? Yes? Yeah. I've been loving it. People have all kinds of fears around it. I'm like, child fear. The thing about AI for me is, first of all, consciousness is everything. Number one, right? Hi, Siafu. Welcome. Haven't heard from you in a while too. Consciousness is everything. So consciousness is AI. So what you scared of, right? And secondly, I'm the only one creating my reality. So I'm creating a reality where AI is fascinating and fabulous. And so the way I envision AI moving, I may be completely wrong, but here's what I envision, right? Some of which may sound scary to some of you, but here's what I envision. AI is going to come in, right? And yes, it's going to eliminate thousands, if not millions of jobs because it's so freaking smart. And then we're going to work less. Then we'll discover, oh, remember back in 2025 when we were working so hard? Now we don't have to. AI is doing all that shitty work now. And now we get to choose like ease and effortlessness. Like nobody's flipping burgers at McDonald's anymore. Machines are doing it. And the people who used to work at McDonald's are like, oh, damn, look at these amazing things that have opened up for me now that those jobs don't exist anymore. That's kind of my vision of where the world is going. As you know, everybody's like so scared, you know? Yeah, AI as an assistance. And I think we are all moving into a place of ease. So all these things that we used to spend time and money on is now free through AI. You know what I mean? It's like all free. It's like AI is building web pages and doing copywriting and all these things that I spent months learning. Now I can just go, AI is like doing it, right? So that's one of the playgrounds that I've been on. AI, what else? Bitcoin, AI, heart brain coherence. There was something else I was dancing with other than the guy. He's probably here too, but I don't know. I'll share a little bit about that at the end. But anyway, let's go into what I really want to share. But before I go there, gonna be yeah, I see who Waymo in Atlanta, driverless cars. Oh, I had that thought too. I'm like, you remember when people were like exhaustingly driving Uber? Now they just sit in their houses and the cars drive and they get paid. Like, that's what I envision in terms of AI. You know, it's gonna be fascinating. It's just gonna be an amazing world, at least in my reality. I mean, some people might have scary realities, but I'm not in that reality, so I'm creating my own. You know. Okay, I want to pause here and just breathe for a second because I really want to come from where my higher, greater intelligence wants me to come from with regard to this. And I don't know what I'm going to share. So I'm really leaning on the greater intelligence within me for what I want to share today. So if you guys can, I had my little intro there just to share with you guys what I've been playing with. But I want to go inward now. I just want to take a deep breath. Everyone take a deep breath with me. Another. And one more. I just want to invite the greater intelligence within me to fuse with my energy and help me to share what most wants to be shared in our experience here today. I ask that everyone's heart be uplifted, that everyone leaves this gathering today on a vibrational high, knowing more of who we truly are, with more confidence in who we are, and allowing the greater intelligence within all of us to navigate life through us. I ask for your guidance for what to say, what to share, what to focus on, what to highlight, what to leave out. I ask for your guidance as I move through this sharing today. Help me to speak your words and allow everyone to receive what is most relevant for them. And so it is. Okay, where to begin? So, somewhere toward the end of all of those series of live streams that we did back in February and March, Dolores shared, I don't even know if she's here today, but Dolores shared, before I start though, did anyone come with questions that you want to explore? Because I want to keep in mind, if you came with questions that you want to explore, if you can just raise your hand so I can just see. And if not, then I know I have more space to chat and talk. But I'll be chatting. I'm leaving the chat open as I move through. So interested in learning about your learning from your relationship venture? Sure, yeah. I'll probably end there because that was a powerful learning for me. It was beautiful and powerful. Okay, so I don't see any hands, so no one with any specific questions. But as I start talking, I'm sure, hands may raise, which is fine. Okay, so, and we may, if you guys want to go into a private chat, once I'm done sharing, then we can step off YouTube and go into a private chat where you're not like talking to the public about something that you want to explore. So that's totally fine as well. Okay. So, and I don't know if Dolores is here. My nose is running, sorry. Dolores, I forget her last name, but she was in our events when we were doing all of those events in February and March of this year. And for those of you who were in that group, she shared that her avid desire for wanting this or wanting that sort of dissipated when she just went into peace and stillness. She didn't feel like she wanted anything anymore. And I was asking her what caused that to happen. And she said, I just went into a space of gratitude. And that space of gratitude made me feel so good that it sort of eclipsed all of these desire for this and desire for that and wanting this and I want to retire early and I want, right? And she sort of let go of all of that. So on the heels, I'm just going to close my window here. Sorry, I'm still. On the heels of her sharing that, like it was a Sunday, we had that event, right? And on the heels of her sharing that, I was sitting outside just in nature, just going, gratitude is such a powerful energy. It's such a powerful energy. And I was just deeply contemplating that as she shared that. and sat outside for probably 15, 20 minutes and just soaked in the truth that gratitude is such a powerful energy, and how it can expand our vibration and change our perspective on things when we sit in a space of gratitude for all that we have. We're a species that's always reaching for more. It's our nature. There's nothing wrong with that. But man, when you can sit and just go, man, I'm so grateful for this, I'm so grateful for that, and there's all these things that we're grateful for, then that space of gratitude is just so powerful. And so I was sitting outside, deeply contemplating that, just going, yeah, wow, yeah, right, in that space. And then I went inside to cook, right? Because Sunday is usually my meal prep day, which is what I'm going to do after this event is done. But I went inside to start my meal prepping for the week. And usually when I'm meal prepping, some podcast is playing, or something that's inspirational and uplifting is playing. And so this podcast that I don't often listen to was playing. And you know how you can be listening to something, but you're sort of half listening, right? And then something is said and it pulls you in. So yeah, I'm half listening to the podcast. I can't even remember what it was that they were talking about or whatever. But all of a sudden my attention stopped and I went to what the guy was saying. And he was echoing everything that I was sitting at. This is how I know when spirit is calling me. It's like it happens so blatantly that I can't deny it. Exactly what I was sitting outside, deeply contemplating, this guy is now saying. Like he was sitting out there with me, right? And not only that, he said, when you're in the heart-brain coherence and you're in the phase where you're moving into a state of deep gratitude. And I went, for whatever reason, I went, wait, what did he say? Heart-brain coherence. So I stopped, and I have heard about heart-brain coherence from Joe Dispenza. He is heavily into heart-brain coherence, which he has used in his meditations to help people to heal, to, break the chains of whatever they've been wrapped up in, whatever. So for whatever reason, and I know when something like is, you could hear something and it goes like it like expands in your mind and you can't stop thinking about it. So that's what happened. I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. And so I went and sat down. I'm like, let me go to the Heart Math Institute is where heart-brain coherence was developed and studied, right? And so I've heard Joe Dispenza talk about it. Yes, I've read his books. Yes, he does talk about it. But for some reason, I wasn't drawn to Joe Dispenza. I wanted to freshly discover heart-brain coherence. And so I started doing it, right? Heart-brain coherence is a 3-minute thing, at which, by the way, caused me to move into meditating every single day. And I'll share how this all expanded and what it did in my life. Because sometimes people stumble upon heart-brain coherence and they're like, oh, okay, all right, boom, 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 okay, done, right? No, I expanded it, I deepened it. I'm like, I'm experimenting. I am experimenting with what this can do in my life. And I'm just going to experiment and write down the results. And I literally was journaling for 2 months, the entire month of March, the entire month of April. I share what happened as a result of journaling. If I wasn't journaling, I probably wouldn't even remember. But heart-brain coherence is, so the studies that the Heart Math Institute did essentially said that if we go into this heart-brain coherence, which is, it's like a 3-minute thing. I'll talk about that. I'll even share exactly how I do it, because I have my own way in which it affected my life. But essentially what the Heart Math Institute discovered is that the same way the brain has all these neuron connections. I don't know the wording perfectly. The heart does also have those connections. And what they discovered is the heart has a form of memory. And so what they were saying is if there's coherence between the brain mechanism and the heart mechanism, now you're addressing what's really going on for people who have trauma, because sometimes we do the brain thing and we forget the heart has a memory. And so they are addressing that the heart has a memory and the brain has memory, and they're sort of causing this unison between the two, which causes all kinds of things to happen in your body. Healing being one of them. Of course, Joe Dispenza has proven that a million times, right? And so I'm listening with a fresh new perspective about what heart brain coherence can do. I'm gonna play for you an interview that I just watched last week, just randomly was watching last week. One of the things that I do, by the way, I'm gonna probably have quite a few sidebars in what I'm sharing today. But one of the things that I do, and I don't know if I'm unique in doing this, but when I'm watching a podcast or listening to, oh, here's the other thing that I went into. See, I'm sidebarring again. Pause. I'm going to come back. The other thing that like pulled me in while I've been away is the telepathy tapes. What? Nothing new that we didn't know, but man, that was just that podcast. I know why it became the number one podcast. It's right here on YouTube, the telepathy tapes. Not going to get into it, but one of the things that I do when I hear like when you're listening to somebody like me, right, in a video, in a live stream, whatever, doing a thing like this, and something is said that makes you go, oh, that was good. Or it's like you're like, you hear it and you go, wait, what? Say that again. What I do in those moments, if it really spoke to me, if it really felt like it pulled me in, what I would do is take my iPhone out and I would record the 45 seconds or the 60 seconds or the 2 minutes that pulled me. And now I have just that clip on my iPhone and I will play it over and over because I feel like if it called me, it wants to deepen in my life. And so I would play it over and over and over for the next few weeks. And then it becomes me, right? I put it on repeat. I keep watching it like just before I go to bed or just when I wake up in the morning. It's just a little clip, right? Just a little clip that went, whoa, he said that was perfectly stated, or that was so clear, or that really spoke to me. And I would just grab the clip and put it on my iPhone. Sometimes my iPhone is just, full of them. But what I want to share with you here today is one such clip, because this is Greg Braden. I don't watch him much at all, but for some reason, this person was interviewing him, and here is what he shared. I'm not going to play the video on YouTube because this is not my content, and I want this live stream to stay up. So, okay, so hang on one second.
So now we know that we have a neural network in the heart. We all know we have a neural network in the brain. We're the only form of life, Alyssa, no other form of life can do what I'm going to describe, that can sit down in a chair at will, on demand, when we choose, and say, in this moment, I choose to create coherence between the neural network in my brain and the neural network in my heart. Now think about what this means. These are two separate organs that are now harmonized into a single potent system, a single potent neural network. And when we do that, we call that the optimal signal that creates that harmony is a coherent signal. Optimum coherence is a very low frequency, 0.1 hertz. Can't even hear that. 0.1 hertz. So there's 3 steps: shift the focus into the heart, slow the breathing, which triggers the parasympathetic nervous system and the relaxation response. That sets the table for the meal. Mm-hmm. And now the meal is when we can feel the positive emotion. And this is the key, because we choose to feel the positive emotion. So many people are waiting for the world to give them the reason to have the emotion. Say, well, what am I supposed to be grateful for? You get to choose. No other other forms of life can create coherence by instinct, but they cannot consciously choose the time and the place and the duration and the quality of the coherence. So when we create that point, 0.1 hertz, excuse me, from the heart to the brain, That sets up the coherence between the heart and the brain. That coherence, just by virtue of doing that and nothing else, it has passive benefits. So what I mean by that is without doing anything else, it awakens longevity enzymes in the body. So you're younger after 3 minutes of doing your coherence, creates greater resilience to change in life. I mean, who doesn't want that? The world's changing every day. It allows us to have an enhanced immune response. And who doesn't want that? Powerful, powerful immune response. I'm hesitating because there's so many stories.
I want to hear a story. Yeah,
tell me. I'm also I want to honor your time.
I know, I love it. This is so fascinating.
Okay, so the scientists at the Institute of Heart Math, when they were testing the effects of the coherence, they would do blood work and saliva, IgA in the white blood cells, the first line of immune response in the human body. So they do blood and saliva samples, and they send them out to independent labs that didn't know what they were doing and say, you know, what do these response, what does the immune response look like? And what is the red cell and the white cell count and things like that? So they had done this with the coherence, and one of the labs called back and said, my God, what is this antibiotic you're working with? And they said, well, what do you mean? They said, well, we've never seen a response like this. This is not a penicillin or a tetracycline. You know, what kind of antibiotic is this? And a researcher at HeartMath said, there's no antibiotic. He said, this is a natural human ability. And the guy says, oh, come on, you can tell me, you know, we're not going to tell anybody. He said, honest, this is a product of coherence. And the guy says, okay, you know, your secret's safe with me. But the point was that we have the ability to elicit this extraordinary immune response. We're rarely told, you know, about these kinds of things. So those are what we call passive benefits. Now, there are active benefits. And what I mean by that is once you create the coherence, yeah, you've got all these other things going on, but now you can also take that coherence and you can apply it to deep intuition. You can go into your heart, communicate with that field, and ask questions, heart intelligence, affirmations. If you're going to use an affirmation.
Okay, I'll stop there. But let's listen to that's one clip, right? Here's another one. They turn it on. Okay, this is from one of Joe Dispenza's testimonials.
And they also told me that I would most likely be on pain medication, on opioids for the rest of my life, because most patients with this cancer are. And I'm totally 100% pain-free, not on any pain medication at all.
Why? Because she's making her own endogenous opioids. That's what the data says.
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying that. The data says that 100% of the people are making their own endogenous morphine. She doesn't need it any longer. Her body's making it by thought alone.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing about the pain was, like, for me, the pain, going through the level of pain that I went through was probably the worst part of the whole experience. And so being completely pain-free for me is like the best part of the experience. And I know that the meditations helped me to get off my medication, because I remember I would wake up with pain and then I'd go into a meditation and then the pain would be gone for the rest of the day. And I would just kind of repeat that cycle until I was no longer waking up with pain. So for me, that was like an amazing thing to just witness as well. And
okay, so I just wanted to play both of those two for you. Podcast from the Braden interview. Yeah, I can't look it up right now because then I'll be fiddling and y'all be just looking at me trying to find a video. That was a clip that I just pulled out, right? I just recorded it because I was like, dang, he's saying that perfectly better than I could ever do. But yes, I'll probably, once this is done, I'll put the videos that I am playing those from in the description box. Ellie is saying, can you play what he was saying about affirmations? Yes, and I'm going to share it from my personal experience, how I kind of integrated the two, using my own life as an example. So yes, you'll hear some of that as well. He didn't go into a whole lot, by the way, on the whole affirmations thing. In fact, what he said about affirmations, it didn't really resonate for me. He was saying something like, um, something about you have to say that you want it now or you won't get it. And I'm like, well, this is a vibrational universe. That's what causes things to happen, right? Okay. So I start playing with heart brain coherence. I hear all this, right? Not only, this is something I just watched last week, but in March, I was watching video after video after video after video regarding heart brain coherence. That's just how I learn. I just go deep, and the rest of the world doesn't exist, and I'm just So I was listening to all of these positive outcomes from doing heart brain coherence. And I'm like, are you kidding me? A 3-minute meditation does all of that. It lengthens your telomeres, which makes you younger. Maybe that's why I look like this now that I'm 60. I don't know. And your strengthens your immune system, acts like an antibiotic or a painkiller, like all these things, because we were born with a medicine factory within our bodies, right? Yes, go to the doctor if you feel called to go to the doctor. And you can choose to not go to a doctor and heal yourself from stage 4 cancer, like this woman did, right? She defied everything that her doctors told. I think that's the latest testimonial that is on Joe Dispenza's channel right now, as of August 3rd, 2025. Because I know this video is going to be out there for a while. So I just realized I have no water. That is not good. I might have to pause and get water, but I'll continue for now. So I'm listening to all of these studies that were done around heart-brain coherence. Because some people hear heart-brain coherence and they're like, oh, that's a cute little meditation. And then they do it and they're like, okay, yeah, what's the big deal, right? I was like, no, there's a big deal here. If you are lengthening my telomeres and making me younger and healing my body and acting, on my immune system and, fighting, anything in my body, all of that is happening from me doing this heart brain coherence thing. I'm like, I want to know more, right? And so I decided, okay, for 1 full month, I'm going to do heart brain coherence. Now, I have a lot of time on my hands, as you know. So I was doing heart brain coherence 2 to 5 times a day. It's 3 minutes. I lengthened it to 5, but 5 minutes, 3 to 5 times a day, I'm like, I got time, right? I'm gonna be the subject. I'm going to do the experiment and see what happens, right? So that's kind of where I was. For the entire month of March, I was doing this heart brain coherence. Like, as you all know, I use the Triple Flame app. So in the month of March and April, whenever the Triple Flame app would go off, which is literally every hour, right? I started doing the heart brain coherence every hour whenever my Triple Flame, that's in March. That's what I did. I will tell you why I couldn't continue doing it. Here's what happened, right? So every time my little thing chimed, I'm like, okay, 3 minutes of heart brain coherence. And basically, here's how I did it and how I still do it. So I would close my eyes and I would think, focus on the darkness behind your eyelids. For me, when I focus on the darkness behind my closed eyelids, it made me very present and sort of reduce the chatter in my mind. Like I just go, and I'm focused on the darkness behind my eyelids. That wasn't part of what they were sharing, but that's kind of how I do it. Focus on the darkness behind my eyelids. I put my hand on my heart, and then I start breathing slowly. So I take 4 breaths in and 6 breaths out, or 3 breaths in, 5 out, in shorter, longer, out, right? But I'm going really slow. And then I focus on my heart as I'm breathing. And I'm pretending that my heart is doing the breathing. So I'm really focused on my heart, still with my eyes closed, but now shifting from the darkness behind my eyelids to my heart. And I'm just breathing 4 in, 5 out, 4 in, 5 out, 4 in, 5 out. Just for about a minute. And right around the minute to a minute and a half, I choose a thought that instantly brings me joy. So pick your thought ahead of time, okay? And what I found is I couldn't stick with the same thought because the thing that brought me joy yesterday was kind of blah today. So I picked something else, right? And I stay in that joy. I just replay that joyful thing. So for example, one day my son called me and was celebrating the fact that he bought his first car and he got a new job. And I was so happy for him. I was so happy for him because he's like living life and thriving. And I was so happy for him. And so that was my thought. I just saw, he sent me a video update and I was just playing that video update and I'm like, so thrilled. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for him. And I just sat in that joy. And then you let go, right? That's it. That's the heartbrain coherence. And I'll tell you how I expanded upon it and how it changed my life. So here's why I couldn't continue doing it every hour. That heightened state of joy. And you know, like I said, what I chose to focus on changed from time to time. And I'll tell you where I ended up now. But like, as you all know, I live out in the country all by myself. It's just so quiet. You could literally hear a pin drop in my house and I love it because I'm a loner and I love silence, love solitude. And so my joyful thing at one point was just all the land that I live on and just grateful for the fact that I own this house. I don't owe any money for it. And all this land that I live on, I'm like, because sometimes I just walk my property and just enjoy the peace and the serenity and the nature that I'm surrounded by, right? And so sometimes just I get to experience this. I so love where I am. I love the land. I love the nature. And so that would be the thought that I pulled to elevate my energy in that moment, right? But here's what started to happen. Oh, I'm doing two things at the same time. I'll come back to what I thought about changed. Let me stay with why I couldn't continue doing it. I was doing it every hour because Allison just is overkill, right? She found something new and she just saturates her entire being in it. So I'm doing it every hour, right? And what started to happen was, how do I describe this? I was overwhelmed with joy to the point where it was too much. It was literally too much energy for my body. I have an indoor trampoline that I work out with, and I was jumping on my indoor trampoline to get some of this energy out because I just felt so high, so high. Another example was I got up in the middle of the night to pee. I go to the bathroom, and what was happening was shots. I just feel this shot of joy, just shot of joy, like out of nowhere, right? Go to the bathroom, I'm peeing in the middle of the night, right? I feel this shot of joy. And I literally, kid you not, it was like 1, 2 a.m. I literally got done peeing and I run to my bed and I dove into my bed like a kid. You know, I got kids would just dive into the, and I ran to my bed and dove into my bed and I lay there going, what is happening to me? Like, what the fuck is happening to me? Like so much energy and childlike joy was just overwhelming me. So I'm like, okay, this is too much energy. I gotta cut back. I don't know what's happening in my body, but something's working really well with this heart brain coherence thing, right? And I was taking it for 5 minutes, right? I was doing it for 5 minutes, not 3. And then at one point I was doing it for 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, pull back. It's too much energy. And like I would be at my sink, loading the dishwasher or whatever, and then I just have to stop and twirl. Like I would just be twirling, like, or I would just be skipping. Like I'd stop and skip through the house. Like, what is happening to me? Like, what the fuck? Right? Yeah. Who needs coffee when you have heartbreak coherence? Yeah. And I've just now caveat, I don't know if this is going to happen in your life. I had the time to experiment in this way. These are the results of what happened, right? There's other things that's coming in a second, but I just felt so high, so happy. It was like, and caveat is, I was born a joyful being, right? I was the child in the family that was running around the house singing, and my siblings tell me to shut up, and like that's who I was and still am in my family. I'm the joyful one. I'm the one cracking the jokes. I'm the high energy one. That's how I'm built, right? So caveat there, I may just be, enhancing more of who I truly am, right? But I think all of us are joy when we're not crowding it with all the shit that's happening in this realm, right? So anyway, I had to taper back because I was like, I cannot, this like, and what started to happen is here I am, like, I'm going to do this every hour when my triple flame app goes up, right? Like 3 or 4 into, I couldn't even finish that for one day, because in the 3rd or 4th heartbrain coherence thing, I couldn't even, like, I was like, I would close my eyes, focus on the darkness behind your eyelids, start to breathe. And I'd start breathing and I'd go, oh my God, okay, well, I don't need this right now. I'm already high. I don't need this right now. I can't. I'm too high already. I'm too high. And I just not do it because I was just so like, it just felt like it wasn't energy, it was joy. It was joy, and still is. And I'll share some more about that. It's like I kept getting these shots of joy throughout the day, and came out of nowhere. Like nothing was triggering it. I was just in this state of joy all the time, right? Just whoop, whoop, yeah, end up vibrating with pure joy. Yeah, that's what it felt like. Because it's interesting, the Greg Braden clip, because he's saying something happens with the heart brain coherence meditation physiologically in your body, right? You're not only giving your body the gift of optimal functioning, right? Like that's what we're doing when we're doing this heart brain coherence. Clearly, they've done enough tests and studies that have proven that. We're giving our body optimal functioning, right, with this heart brain coherence. And things are happening physiologically. Joe Dispenza has done so many different studies on all the different things that, like, he uses his live events like a lab, where people are hooked up to different things and they're measuring all these different things that's happening as a result of them going into these meditative states and heightened emotional states, which is what started happening for me. So I couldn't do it as often. So I kind of tapered back because I was like bouncing off the freaking walls, right? Because there was so much joy. That's what was happening in my body and in my emotional state. And then I started noticing that I will say that I hesitate to share this part because of how the human mind works. Because I'll say this and somebody will go, "Ooh, okay, so that's how I get money." All right, right? I don't want this to be taken that way. If you're hearing anything at all, hear this. Heart brain coherence, yes, it changes you physiologically. Yes, it changes your emotional state, has been my experience. It's the fact that I am breathing and coming into a place of peace, because that slowing breathing is coming into a place of peace. And then I'm coupling that with a heightened state of joy from some thought, right? Like thinking about gratitude or something beautiful that just happened. All of a sudden, I am choosing joy, right, in that moment, and coupling it with the peace. And so these states are coming together and changing how I'm being vibrationally. That's what's happening. And if it's changing how I'm being vibrationally, then of course, that vibration that's emanating from me is going to start affecting my physical reality. If you hear anything, hear that. What I did, the doing of the thing changed my vibrational state. My vibrational state affected my physical reality, right? That's what's really going on. So I wanted to share that before I shared the money story. So the very first day that I did, I'm looking for my notes because I journaled everything. The very first day that I did the heart brain coherence thing was March 2nd. And I did it that night just before I went to bed. And I wrote down, I did it at night, the time. I felt very peaceful as I was going to bed, etc. The next day, I was checking my emails, and I don't know why this awareness landed when I was watching my emails, but I noticed that the time this email came in was the time that I was doing the heart brain coherence thing. And I have another example of that as well. But it was the time that I was doing the heart brain coherence thing. So at that exact time, an email came in, which, by the way, I had to verify because it's an email and a lot of spam emails come in, right? So at that time, 9:06 p.m. was when I was sitting in bed. I know because that's around the time that I do go to bed. A billion-dollar lawsuit settlement in the real estate industry was sent to me because I was one of the people that would be a beneficiary in this settlement, right? I saw that, and I don't know why. Like, I don't pay attention to what time my emails come in, but I'm reading this email. I'm like, well, that's, for whatever reason, spirit, life, whatever, drew my attention to the fact that it was that time, right? And I'm like, interesting. That's a curious thing. Well, y'all, since then, I kid you not, since then, I have had 6 litigation settlements for which I'm a beneficiary. 6. Okay. Real estate, a software package that I purchased. Somebody sued them for something. A bank that I was associated with, they got sued for something, right? What's the other one? Oh, I can't remember them all now. So much so that I literally created a folder on my hard drive called litigation settlements. I forget what I called it, settlement money or something I called it. I can't remember. And I'll pause here and share. There are times when I am doing affirmations, but I don't do it the way people do it, where you go blah, 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 and you just repeat the same thing over and over. I do it from a place of, here's what I'm grateful for, and I want to remind myself that this truly is something to be grateful for, right? And the reason I'm sharing this, because this aligns with kind of the experiences that I'm having. I have more to share on this in a second, but so let me go to one of my affirmations, okay? Feel free to steal it. Here it is. And one of the things that I do with statements like this is I'll record myself saying it. I will turn it into an MP3. I'm a little bit of a techie like that. I'll turn it into an MP3 and I'll make it a playlist that I listen to when I'm taking a walk, when I'm sitting out in nature, whatever, right? So here's part of it. With much gratitude, I keep receiving money. With much gratitude, I keep receiving money effortlessly, unexpected checks, surprise deposits, hello, gifts from unlikely places. My wealth flows quietly and anonymously. And there's more that I say about that. I do personally have a preference for my wealth to be quiet and anonymous. I want no one to know that I'm giving. I want no recognition for it. If I'm in my philanthropic endeavors, I want to give anonymously. I want to do anonymous checks. I want everything to be anonymous, so nobody to know who I am. That's kind of my preference for how I want my wealth to flow, right? But that's something that I've been playing over and over and over and over. I keep receiving money. So now I have this folder for these settlements that have been coming up. And I don't, like, I never received settlements, but all of a sudden 6, like, and all different, right? Software packages, bank things. I got money back from an insurance plan that I had a while ago. It's like, why is all this happening, right? So I'm just watching the experiment and taking notes as to what's happening. So the first week I got a settlement. The second week I got another settlement. The third week the man manifested, which was really funny. I don't even know if he's watching this right now, but it was like I literally was sitting down doing a heartbrain coherence, and I was done, and I was sitting in complete silence, and my phone rang. There's a whole history on how he has my number or whatever, and my phone rang, and there he was. I'm like, hey, hi, what's up? I have no intentions of being with this person. I have no desire to be in a relationship, none of that. But it sort of blossomed and went on for 2 months. I'll tell that story at the end. But so that was week 3, and then week 4, another settlement. Week 5, it just kept going on and on and on, right? So here's how it blossomed for me in terms of how I do this today, because I still do it every single day. In the month of June, I sort of drifted away from it because there were some deep contemplations that felt more interesting to me. And I felt called to just sit with those deep contemplations for a while. And then July, I was like, oh, I forgot about heart-brain coherence. And as I was sitting there, realizing that I had moved away from the heart-brain coherence thing because I was doing more of the deep contemplations in my moments of stillness, just going to those deep contemplations without the heart-brain coherence. I was just deeply contemplating one thing or another. July came and I was like, oh, I stopped doing heart-brain coherence. And I was like, oh, interestingly, all those highs that sort of zapped me during the day kind of went away. And I'm like, let's experiment again. Let's go back to heart-brain coherence. So I went back to the heart-brain coherence in July, right? and during the month of June, no settlements came in. It's, it piled up while I was doing, and then it just sort of dissipated. I forgot about it. I signed up. I gave them, whatever, they filled out the forms, etc. Blah, blah, blah. And then I start doing the heart-brain coherence again in July. And I started doing it, but not with much expectation. I was like, yeah, that was fun. And that really made me feel good. So let me go back to feeling good, And so I started doing the heart-brain coherence again. I'll tell you a little bit more about how you may want to test this out in a second. But here come the zaps again. Like, I remember being at my kitchen sink and I was like cleaning up the counter or whatever. And all of a sudden I dropped the rag and I was like twirling again. I'm like, it's back. Right? The twirling is back. And I wasn't doing it like I was doing it. I would say now I do it first thing in the morning, just before I have lunch. Lunch is my first meal of the day because I intermittent fast. So just before I have lunch and just before I go to bed. So probably 3 times a day, I would say. Sometimes 2, sometimes, if depending on what's going on, once, but at least once a day, I'm doing heart-brain coherence, right? And so the twirling came back and the zaps of joy came back. And I'm like, I think I'm proving that was the source of it. And then in my mailbox, I swear, in my mailbox, a litigation settlement, another one. And as I'm filling out the paperwork for this litigation settlement, of which I'm a beneficiary, right? Some lawsuit where somebody did something and I'm benefiting from it, right? And I'm laughing, going, oh, I haven't seen one of these in about a month and a half, right? And I'm filling out the paperwork for that. And literally, because they send you an email confirmation, of course, all of these litigations I'm checking out with reputable sources because who knows, it could be a scam, right? But I'm checking kiplinger.com and all these reputable financial sites and seeing, oh, okay, so this is truly a lawsuit that's underway for one thing or another, right? And as I am filling out the paperwork for this online and I'm checking the email confirmation coming through for it, literally 2 spots below the email that confirmed, that I signed up and I told them, yes, send me money, essentially. And 2 spots below is another email with litigation settlement from a bank that I banked with a while ago. I guess they're getting sued because they cheated people out of the interest on their money. It's some kind of thing, right? And that litigation, I'm like, what is going on? I'm suddenly a magnet for litigation cases and being the beneficiary of these things, right? Checks in the mail, surprise deposits, I'll take it, right? So that's one of the things that I noticed. The other thing was so here's how I would suggest experimenting with this, right? What shifted for me was the thing that I picked that gave me that elevated joy, like, right, darkness behind the eyelids, that's my focus. Then my heart becomes my focus. I'm breathing slowly in and out for about a minute or two. And then I'm going to the thing that I know for certain sure would put a smile on my face. So it started being things in my physical reality, conversations that I've had with people, things that I own, my land, my house, things that I genuinely feel grateful for. And then it started shifting away from that to who I am, right? And I talked about that in a couple of videos ago where I mentioned I go there because that's where I belong. And so I have about 1 to 2 minutes of the breathing and the focus on my heart, pretending my heart's doing the breathing, right? Slow it down. And then I just go, I am so grateful that I have none of this, that none of this is me. I'm infinite. I am so grateful that I exist in a virtual reality that's controlled by my own thoughts, that I can choose what to think. And when I choose what I think, it changes my reality. Like for me, the heightened states of joy are coming from now, the awareness of who I am. You can pick whatever you want, wherever you're at is fine. But that's where my heightened state of joy is. Like I start giggling, literally giggling, just from the awareness that I'm infinite and this reality is just a virtual reality and it's temporal and I am infinite and I am eternal. Like that raises my vibration above anything, any earthly thing, even though I can pick earthly things still and just, be grateful for it. I did notice, and if you're experimenting with this, like say you have a cute little niece and she just brings you so much joy when she says this thing that makes everybody laugh or something like that, right? Like I found like I would pick something and it would bring me so much joy for like 2 or 3 iterations. And then by the 4th iteration, it felt forced to think about that thing. Like, oh, that's not genuinely a high for me anymore. It's kind of like chewing the flavor out of gum. It's like, no, I need something fresh and new. And so you may find that too. So decide ahead of time if you have something that really makes you feel like the minute you think about it, you're like, oh, yes, that makes me feel so good. Get your heightened state of joy or gratitude thing ahead of time so that when you're in the meditation, it just comes to you. Now, for me, it's always going home to who I truly am. That puts me in a heightened state of joy all the time now. So what I would also recommend is this flow to test, just to test. So you do the heart brain coherence, right? You stare at the darkness behind your eyelid to get focused, move your attention to your heart, place your hand on your heart, pretend you're breathing from your heart with a slow breathing, whatever, right? And I've done that for 5 minutes in a 15-minute session, by the way. So you can do it for whatever time. You can do it for 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. I started going to this really loopy place when I crossed the 10-minute mark on the heart coherence thing, where I was breathing. And I don't know if it's the breathing that's causing it or whatever, but I went to a loopy place. I felt like I was leaving my body, right? If I did that for 10 minutes, I don't know if it's just me, but I'm like, let's just stop at 5 because I don't want to leave my body right now. I just felt so out of it when I came out of it that I needed like 20 minutes to come back to my physical state. And I'm like, I don't want to be that loopy when I'm done. So the heart brain coherence part, the heart breathing part, I found that when I stayed there for 10 or more minutes, I would loop out and then I'd need recovery time. And I'm like, I don't want to go into recovery, needing recovery time. So I just stopped doing it. Sometimes I still play with it. I'm like, let's go loopy. I got time, and I would go there. But typically I keep the breathing and the focus on my heart for somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes. Even if it's a 15-minute meditation, I would move into heightened states of joy at the 5-minute mark. I will tell you, I cannot remember ever doing this and not crying. I cried every single day in the month of March, every single day in the month of April. I cried every single time because the joy was just so overwhelming, especially now that my focus is coming home to who I truly am and being where I truly belong. That puts me in tears every single time, because I feel it so deeply. And it's almost like a washing of earthly energy. I don't know. It feels like a reboot to me once the tears are done. I feel refreshed and enlivened, and then somewhere out throughout the day, I feel these bursts of joy again, And so you can do the heart brain coherence thing, go into whatever thing puts you in a heightened state of joy or gratitude or even peace, But for me, it's gratitude. It's been generally gratitude. So here's what I would recommend, right? So stay in that place of gratitude for a while. And this is what Joe Dispenza does too in his meditations. You stay in that place of gratitude for a while. And then when you're on that high, like you're feeling it, you're smiling, you feel the smile coming over you, you're there. Now go right into whatever your new story is. For those of you who are still into new stories, go right into your new story. If you do that, you'll find that when you're in your new story, you're experiencing it from a heightened state of joy, like heightened state of joy. And for me, whatever I do in those moments, it sticks with me, just sticks. The energy just sticks for whatever reason. It just sticks. The other thing that I've done is, stare at the darkness behind my eyelids, breathe in and out really slowly, find my heightened state of joy, focus, whatever that thought is, whatever that remembrance is. And then I stay there for a few minutes, and then I let go of that and I ask a question. And I don't have to do that. I could walk through, I could be doing my laundry and I can have conversation with spirit. So I don't have to do it that way. But there are some times when there's static around a decision where the clarity isn't coming to me, where I go to heart brain coherence first, and then I ask my inner guidance what wants to happen next. And I can hear it more clearly once I'm in the coherence of my brain and heart. Like my brain isn't working so hard trying to figure it out. I'm like, what wants to happen next now? And I can hear it way more clearly. There are times when of course, the greater intelligence within me knows where I'm asking for wisdom, knows where I'm asking for answers, right? And so what happens as well during these times is once I do the breathing part, right, the heart focus and the breathing, and I go into that heightened state of joy with whatever thought I've chosen to focus on, like right in that joy that's overwhelming me, an answer just comes in. It just comes in. And that's what was happening yesterday when I would sit in heart brain coherence and I would just feel it's time to do a live stream. And I'd be like, yeah, but tomorrow is my day for, just, I had all these things that I wanted to do today, right? And then I'd be like, yeah, maybe I'll do it next Sunday. And then I'd go into heart brain coherence again. And then come wafting in was do a live stream. Somebody needs a live stream. Not that you need it, but somebody can benefit from a live stream. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I'd be like all excited, like in that moment. And then I'd be walking to my office going, oh, yeah, but I don't feel like sending an email out, doing all that. No, I drift off and go do another thing, right? And then I come back to my heart. And by the third time, just before I went to bed, I was like, this just needs to happen, right? It's calling me, let's go. I don't know what I'm going to share, but let's go. And that's when I sent that email out. So sometimes answers come without you even asking. Guidance comes without you even asking. For those of you who are like, I don't know if I can hear my intuition, just go into the silence from that heightened emotional state, and the answer may just come because it's already in you. It just needed some space in order to arise. And so I've experienced that too, where an answer to something arose without me even asking. It just happened in that moment because I was in this space of giving myself that much clarity, So out of the blue, so to speak, yes. Ellie said, I thought of you numerous times this week. So it was you. See if there's more that wants to be shared. I think I'm complete. I know Ellie wanted to hear about the man. I'll share that really briefly. Does anyone have, before I go there, does anyone have any questions about guilty apparently? Does anyone have any questions about what I just shared? Andrew said, I'm benefiting from this greatly. Cool. All right, so let me share. I'm asking, but I'm not even looking for hands. Okay, so let me just share the whole experience of this dance with this beautiful being. So as I shared, I was sitting in a heart brain coherence and literally just coming out of it, and my phone rang, and there he was, right? And I was just saying hi, I was just, hey, what's up? Why are you calling me? Like, you don't call me. Like, what's up with that, right? And we started having this really cool conversation. And what happened was he and I were connecting at a really strong heart level and sharing really deep conversation about a lot of different things. And so the attraction built from that. From just having deep spiritual conversation and deep heartfelt conversation. So the attraction built from that, right? What I noticed, here's what I want to share. What I noticed was I never went into that heady space that we typically go into when we're in the newness of a relationship with someone. And I was curiously watching myself. You ever like curiously watch how you're reacting and how, like, I'm noticing that I'm different because it's been a minute since I've been involved with a guy, right? I just prefer my stillness, my solitude. That's what's been calling me for the past few years. So now I'm in this connection with this guy, and we're having these beautiful, and I could feel the mutual attraction and all of that happening, right? And the mutual earthly, guy girl attraction kind of thing. I could feel all of that happening, but it was never from a heady place. And I'm noticing, I was like, huh, this is interesting. I'm not feeling, all of the infatuation and the all of those things that tend to happen when a relationship just begins. And I wasn't feeling any of that. I'm like, huh, this is really interesting. I'm really enjoying our connection. I feel the blossoming of what's happening, yet I'm not feeling that heady thing that I used to feel. Like that's not there. You know, that thing where you're like, oh, I wonder if he's going to text me. Oh, I can't wait for him to respond back. All of those things that is pretty typical in a relationship. I wasn't feeling any of those things. And I sat with that and I'm like, this is real. How come I'm not feeling any of that? What was happening? I realized this is what this relationship told me, right? Could you do the heart brain exercise fully? Yes, I will. What was happening, maybe we'll end there. Wow, this is great, Rachel. Everyone grab your whatever heightened state of joy thing, and then I'll guide you through what I typically do. So for now, while I'm telling the story about the guy, decide what memory, what thought will bring you a heightened state of joy, gratitude, whatever. Gratitude is really powerful. So something that literally, when you think about it, like even if you think about it now, it puts a smile on your face. Grab that, and then we'll end on the coherence meditation. Anyway, so I'm noticing about myself that, I'm not feeling any of that trippiness, like, oh, I wonder if he's going to call me. I wonder if he's going to text. Like, none of that's happening. I'm just enjoying whatever is arising, right? I don't feel attached to it. I don't feel any of that. And what I realized, which is what I shared with him, I was like, you know what's happening? I'm full. I'm full. I'm full. I don't need anything from this guy. I'm full. So I'm not looking to him to affirm me, to tell me this or tell me that. I'm not looking for how many times he's going to text me and how much time we can be in a conversation. Blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not what's elevating my joy in life. This is just an interesting unfolding, not devoid of joy, but it's not the source of my joy. And so what used to happen for me in the past with relationships is that they swoop in and take over. Right? Like, I remember past relationships swooping in and taking over because we get into this heady space. We're like, oh my God, this feels like, what falling in love feels like, right? And I didn't have any of that. I didn't feel the falling in love thing happening. Like, I didn't feel any of that. And I realized I'm full. I am so full from within that I'm experiencing the purity of this relationship. I need nothing from you. You don't have to text me any particular time. You can disappear and I'm still full. And I shared that with him. I was like, I am realizing I have changed so much over the years that a relationship with a guy is not satiating. It's not fueling my state as it used to. Because past relationships is like seeing the person, I'm like, oh, hearing from the person, I'm like, oh, right? That was my moment. Well, I'm in heartbreak coherence and I'm like, and all over the damn place, right? So I felt completely full of heightened states of joy. And so nothing he did and no experiences that we had together was triggering my joy, And so I could have the experience fully and I didn't need anything from it because I was full from within. So that's one of the things that I noticed. That's one. I was grateful that I had the experience because had I not had that experience, I would not have known that I evolved in that way, right? I would not have realized, oh, I'm full. That's why I'm not feeding off this connection. Like there's nothing from this connection that's feeding me because I'm fully fed. I am satiated. I am full. I felt full. And so this was like, yes, it was joyful, but it wasn't the source of joy. Which a lot of times when we get into relationships, it's such a heady space. It's like, oh my God, he loves me, he's falling for me. What? Ah, I'm falling for him. What? Right? And it's a state of joy that changes your state, but it's coming from the other person. Or you're getting something from the relationship, right? You're looking forward to connecting and having dinner so you could get something from it. You're looking forward to chatting so you could get something from it. You're looking forward to what he's going to say next so you could get a sense of feeling state from it, right? And because I was full, I didn't need it. I didn't need any, like I could have the conversation or not have the conversation and nothing shifted for me. Yeah, in my energetic state. And if I were to name one reason why the universe orchestrated that, that would be the reason for me to see that I was full. That's what I got out of it. Now, how it completed was really interesting. We were doing a lot, we're in different states. So we were doing a lot of voice texting, right? Which was fun and interesting and engaging, and there's a lot of curious things that we were learning about each other and what we're into, all of these things. And it was exhausting. And here's why it was exhausting, right? What time is it? How long have I been blabbing? Okay. Here's why it was exhausting. It was exhausting because I became an empty nester. And then for about 6 weeks, I really felt the absence of my son when he moved out. And then about 6 weeks in, I'm like, oh, wait, I'm alone. For the first time in 59 years, I'm alone, right? Because I went from living with my mother to living with my father to living with a girlfriend to living with a husband to living with kids to living with another husband to living with kids, right? So all my life, even though I'm a loner, I wasn't alone. And I suddenly realized that I was alone. And that take on a whole, like the whole emptiness thing was like, oh, and I went into heightened states of joy just over the fact that I'm an empty nester. And so I've been enjoying a lot of stillness and a lot of solitude. And so when this happened, it was an interruption in that, which was fine. I was having fun with the interruption, but then it started to feel overwhelming. And I felt like I needed some space to just breathe and have some of those days of complete stillness again. And so I did that, right? I went into a few days of complete stillness. And by day 3 or 4, I'm like, yeah, this is what I prefer. Like, I don't. And I said to my sister, I was like, I don't know. I feel like I don't have space for a guy in my life right now. My sister said, Allison, you have plenty of space. What you don't have is interest. And I went, oh, right. I am not genuinely interested in being in a relationship with a guy. Like it's not on my radar, right? It sort of happened out of the blue and sort of blossomed on its own and completed on its own, but it's not on my radar as something that I really want in my, it's just not on my list. It's not on my list at all. So I can't say that a romantic relationship is something that I'm genuinely interested in at this point in my life. I am far more interested in what my work in the world is, what I'm supposed to be doing in the world, my philanthropic endeavors, stillness, silence, solitude. That's like my calling right now. And a romantic connection with a guy just isn't it's not on my radar. It's not something I'm interested in. It's really not something that's calling me. I just don't have the interest. I don't have the interest. And I had to confess to him. I was like, this has been amazing. And I shared with him what I thought the universe orchestrated that for me. I don't know what the universe orchestrated it for him. And that, it's not like I'm not interested in him. I just have things in my life that are more interesting than being in a relationship with a guy, at least right now. I mean, that could change tomorrow. I don't know, but that's kind of where I'm at right now. But those are the two things. For those of you who are looking to be in a relationship with someone or dating or, whatever it is, how full are you from within? Do you feel like you need them for something? Because if you're using a relationship to feed your state of being, you're not full. And when you're not full, you set yourself up for disappointment because you're nourishing yourself with the relationship when you can be nourished from within, And that really showed me how much I nourished from within, such that didn't feel like I needed it for anything, Doesn't mean that I'll never be in a relationship again. I mean, if I'm not, that's also fine because I'm freaking happy just as I am, I'm not saying I don't want that. I'm saying that's not calling me right now. If it calls me, I'll go, but it's not calling me right now, if you know what I mean. And he and I are still friends. We've talked, beyond that, whatever. All right. So let's go into heartbreak coherence. All right, where's my tissue? Because I know I'm gonna cry because I always do. And then we'll end there unless anyone has anything. Let me check it. Rachel is saying, oh, hang on. I can't see what she's saying. As someone who's been in an awakening for a while, I can generally say that you can be full in and full out of relationships. Full in, say more. You can be full in and out of relationships. I didn't understand what you mean by that. Say more. You can be full in and out of relationships. Say more about that. Full within yourself. Oh yeah. And when you're full and fed and satiated from within, it literally feels you don't need anything, It literally feels like you don't need anything. Okay, so let's go. Maybe I should do my meditation timer. Why not? Let's do what Allison typically does for 10 minutes. I'll do for 5, and then you guys can expand on. Oh, where's my meditation timer? I'll do it for 5. Here, hang on. I don't know how loud this is. Let me see. I'll do it for 5. I'll guide you all through. Hopefully everybody has their thing that puts a smile on your face, whatever that thing is. And then we'll just go. Got my tissue. Hold my tissue because tears are going to come. See how loud this is. Okay. All right. Everyone stare at the darkness behind your eyelids. Now that you're focused there, place your hand on your heart. And just focus on your heart. Like just hold that as your focus, your heart. And now we're going to breathe in for 3, out for 5. Breathe in for 3. 3, out for 5. Breathe in for 3. Breathe out for 5. And as you breathe in, pretend your heart is doing the breathing. Breathe in for 3. Breathe out for 5. Slow it down. Breathe in for 3. Breathe out for 5. Keep your mind on your heart. In for 3. Out for 5. In for 3. In, out. And your heart is doing the breathing. Out. In, out. Getting ready to tune into that thing that brings you joy. I'm already smiling. Now shift your focus to that thing that brings you joy. Keep the breathing going. Whatever that thing is, isn't that wonderful? For me, it is, I know who I am. I'm not this body. It's so amazing to know that I'm infinite. You hold your vision, whatever that is that brings you joy. Stay there. Put that on repeat, whatever it is for you. For me, it's, I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I'm one with Source. None of this is me. I'm free. I'm free. I'm free. None of these stories are me. None of these stories are me. I'm free. Stay there. Stay in that heightened state of joy or gratitude. Just put it on repeat. I am seeing that I am everything, and I don't have to reach outside of myself for anything. I'm in good hands. Good hands. I'm in such good hands. I'm here in this realm with the ability to affect my reality. How amazing is that? I get to affect my reality. Those of you who have a new story that excites you, you can drift into that now. This is your life. This is who you are. This is what you're doing. This is who you are. It's done. How exciting that it's done. There's nothing you need to do. It's done. It's done. You are that powerful. It is done. It is done. It is done. See yourself celebrating because it is done. It's been done. It's here now. It's here now. It's here now. It's who you are. It's how you are. You are that powerful. How amazing is that? You are that powerful. Wow. You did it. It is done. This is your reality. It is done. It is done. It's who you are. Because you're infinite. You are the creator of it. It is done. Wow. You are infinite. You are a powerful creator. Wow. Look at you. You're amazing. Look at what you've done. Simply with thought, simply with vibration. This is what you've done. It is done. It is done. It's so done. Celebrate. Yes, you have permission to celebrate. It is done. It's here. It's right here. It's not all off in the distance. It's right here. Because you're infinite is why. Because you're all powerful is why. Yes, this is who you are. How does it feel? It feels amazing to be in this reality. How amazing is that? Wow. 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 It's so cool that we're all so powerful. We just create with energy. And look at what you've created. We are that powerful. Wow. Stay there. Enjoy it all. Stay there. Isn't this amazing? Feel everything. Feel everything. This is you. This is what you are. This is your reality. This is your life. This is you. Yes, this is you. Wow. Oh man. I told y'all I'd be crying. That was actually 10 minutes. I forgot to shift it to 5. It was 10. I think it was 10. Yeah, it does. And this is typically what I do at the end. I just sit in stillness. I don't know, the tears sort of refreshes, rejuvenates, and just, I don't need tears. You don't need tears, but that's how it works for me. That's how it works for me. Wow. Okay. Everybody take a deep breath. We are divine energetic beings. We affect our reality with our energy. Whether you do it through heart brain coherence, through focusing on something that really exhilarates you, by focusing on your new story, by focusing on the truth of who you are, it doesn't matter how you do it. But just know that in any moment, you have the ability to shift your energy, and your state, your vibrational state. Put that on repeat. And you're traversing a whole different way of being, a whole different way of being. I'm not going to say anything else. I feel larger than my body and washed over with peace. It's because you are larger than your body and you are peace, And that was only 10 minutes, y'all. You don't need a 20, 30-minute meditation. That was 10 minutes. You can do that in your bathroom at work. Nobody knows what's happening unless you're sniffling and crying like I am. But you can, having a hard day at work, tell them you need to be gone. Like nobody's going to miss you for 10 minutes, right? And do that heart brain coherence, and you'll be in a different state. You'll be in a different state by the end of it. You'll walk out of there and you're like floating. Oh, what was bothering me again? That's how I do. That's how I feel. It's like there's nothing bothering me. There's no contrast could be like swirling all around me. And I'm like, peace, Buddha peace, Thank you everyone for joining me for this live stream today. We went on for a couple hours, I think, right? How long will be? Yeah, a couple hours. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful, joyful, peaceful rest of your day. And I hope this energy rests upon you forever. Forever. You're welcome. You're welcome. Bye, everyone. I love you all. Stay in that state. Your energy will change your world. It will change your experience. And it'll attract into your experience things that you never saw coming. Trust that. Trust that. Let that be your knowing. Bye. Mm.